Hello everyone out in the YouTube universe, I'm Rob Goodwin, this is Ketogenic Bodybuilding, and today I'm going to give you my 2-week update on the carnivore diet where I dove in pretty much 100%. So stay tuned. Alright, so let's get right into it. My 2 weeks update on the definitely ramped up near 100% carnivore diet that I've been following for the last 2 weeks. If you watched the last video, I talked about my non-orthodox carnivore diet, which is pretty much what I would say would be like 85 to 90% carnivore, because I pretty much eat no vegetable matter Monday through Friday for the most part, and even very little things like nuts and seeds and nut butters and things like that. It's pretty much all, just animal, source food, meat, eggs, fish, that sort of thing, just because it's so damn convenient at the gym where I cook all day long. I don't eat out. I don't go to fast food restaurants. So I'm in the break room of the gym that I'm in, for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. So, I cook quick meals that are fast and easy, but taste good and are satisfying, that get me through my day. And it's all meat and eggs and fish and things like that. So some poultry. So, I sort of, stumbled into a carnivore diet. Now I will have some whey protein powder to make sure I'm getting my adequate protein intake based on my goals and needs, and that's sort of the non-orthodox part, because some of the hardcore carnivore orthodoxy, the real purists will tell you that if it's anything other than just meat and water, you're not doing real carnivore. And I kind of throw a flag on that. I don't really subscribe to that. I think if you're taking in, nearly 100% all animal matter, then I would say that you qualify at that point. And if you need an occasional whey protein shake, which is a byproduct of dairy, which is, technically animal sourced, then, the way I see it, it's close enough for me. So I'm certainly not going to wag a finger at anybody that might want to throw in a protein supplement to make sure that they're getting their adequate protein intake in. So with that said, how am I doing 2 weeks in? Well, I got to be honest, I'm doing great. Surprisingly good even. I thought I might miss some things. I thought I might have some additional cravings from the extremely low carbohydrate intake. I thought I would miss any ability for snacking, like grabbing a handful of macadamia nuts or something like that, or the little things that I did occasionally indulge in. All went out the window, and it didn't take but a couple of days for that extreme satiety to kick in. That's the first thing that I noticed, was very heightened satiety. I went from easily eating 5-6 meals a day, a high eating frequency that I like to do when I'm training hard, and it went down to about 3 to 4 meals a day because I just wasn't hungry. I'm just not hungry now, currently, 2 weeks in. So it is a little bit of a challenge to get enough calories in for me. So the good thing about that is I do love meat and I do love eggs, and so it's not that difficult for me to have a lot of meat and eggs in a sitting, but I do stay very satisfied and I don't get hungry and I don't really crave. So it's no big deal. You don't even think about it, 4 or 5 hours or more go by until you start even thinking about food again. You actually just kind of forget about it, which is kind of a cool thing, especially if you're trying to get lean and lose weight. So the first thing I noticed was extreme satiety. Now, I also noticed even further reduced inflammation. The original reason I got into pursuing a more primal, ancestral ketogenic diet way back about a decade ago, and even further back when I stumbled onto like the paleo primal thing, it was to reduce inflammation, joint distress, aching joints, just didn't feel like myself. I had that systemic inflammation going on that I needed to get rid of, and lowering the carbohydrate intake definitely did the trick. So now I feel an even greater reduction in inflammation. So everything just feels better. I move better. I just feel better in my skin in terms of not worrying about those little nagging aches and pains that we all deal with, and especially as we age. So that is even more greatly reduced since going carnivore now that I'm 2 weeks in. I do notice more consistent energy levels. So I'm not really getting energy, highs, but I'm also not getting any lulls in my energy throughout the day either. So it's a real consistent, sort of a steady stream of energy. I wake up feeling good. It stays consistent throughout the day. I sleep great at night. I always do sleep pretty good though, so I'm not going to say that it made my sleep better. If it did, it was probably slight and I don't even really notice it. So I'm not going to say that, but it's a good thing because I always sleep very, very good. I sleep like a damn log and I can fall asleep in under 30 seconds. But I'm still sleeping very, very good. So it certainly didn't detract from that. So that's a good thing. So all in all, I feel great. It's been ridiculously easy for me. This isn't even really a challenge. And that takes me to troubleshooting and the reasons why it's probably not much of a challenge for me and why some of you may be having some challenges. Now, in the Ketogenic Bodybuilding Facebook group, we've got an ongoing thread that people are really chiming in on, and some are saying how great they feel and how easy this is and how wonderful this is, and some are talking about having a few setbacks or a few challenges with it. And some of those challenges are, some people just don't have any energy at all. They don't feel good. They feel like they're getting their ass kicked a little bit. So the reason I think that I'm not feeling that is, one, being fully fat adapted. If you are entering into this carnivore diet challenge, if you're trying carnivore for the first time because you see its huge popularity and it's all out there now, so you decided to jump in with both feet, sometimes an all-in approach, you're going to have to deal with a little additional suffering, because at the end of the day, carnivore is just sort of a next level ketogenic diet. Carnivore is very ketogenic. You're taking your carbohydrates even further, reduced. And as we know, keto is about low carb. It's not about high fat. So by eating lots of red meat and poultry and even white meat pork and certain pork cuts, and you're eating your bacon and you're eating fish and eggs, we're talking about extremely low carbohydrate food. So you're still going to be keto. So, maybe if you hadn't made that full leap or that real consistent leap with a ketogenic diet, or maybe you're just coming into this not being on a ketogenic diet, maybe you're skipping over that right into carnivore and you're kind of feeling like shit, well, that makes sense, because you have to go through an adaptation period or an adaptation phase when going on a ketogenic diet, and especially with going on a carnivore diet. The all-in approach to carnivore can be kind of tough if you're not fat adapted. If your body's not used to tapping into stored body fat and using exogenous fat as its energy source, if you're not used to that, if you're very glucose dependent, if you haven't had that adaptation period of 4 to 6 weeks where you've adjusted to switching your fuel source as from being a glucose burning or a glucose dominant or a sugar burning human to now a full-time fat burning human, then that transition is tough. You've heard of keto flu, you've heard that transition can be tough, and it can be. That's a legit thing. It's two parts. It's part one, suck it up, buttercup. It's tough. So what? Put on your big boy pants and just get it done, because that part of it's not going to last very long. And two, electrolytes, minerals, electrolytes, minerals, electrolytes, minerals. You got to make sure you're getting in adequate levels of sodium. As you know, I recommend pink Himalayan sea salt on pretty much freaking everything you consume. Make sure you're getting your magnesium and your potassium, you're getting lots of water. All these things go a long way to making you feel better during this adaptation phase, because as you go into a low carbohydrate diet, your needs for sodium go through the roof, as well as certain minerals do as well. So don't be afraid to jack those up quite a bit and get that extra sodium and electrolyte content in your body and stay well hydrated as well. That can go a long way to making that adaptation process go a lot more smoothly as your body's shifting from being a full-time sugar burner to being able to understand that fat and ketones are a pretty damn good thing to burn, and they're actually nourishing those organs in the body and your brain, and everything is just starting to click. So you may be going through a tough time, carnivore, because maybe this is really your true fat adaptation phase. Maybe you weren't as strict going into keto as you probably could have been. You know, some people do that and they kind of admit that to themselves. Well, maybe jumping into carnivore kind of forced you to really go full force. You know, you've dipped into ketosis, you're making that shift, and when you make that transition, it can be tough. If you think about how glucose controls the body almost the same way that certain narcotics control the body. You know, if you take somebody that's been abusing heroin or cocaine or even nicotine for long periods of time and you go cold turkey, what happens? You're going to go through that withdrawal cycle, and it's not pretty, okay? So it can be the same thing going from a glucose burning human to a fat burning human. So just kind of bear with it, tough it out, and that too shall pass, I guarantee it. So it could just be that you're not well fat adapted. So the cool thing is carnivore is definitely going to take you there. Carnivore is, you know, you get through this 30-day challenge, you'll come out on the other end adapted. And now you're ready to just crush it at any level, whether it's continuing carnivore or if it's just transitioning back into a really good, sound, you know, well put together ketogenic protocol. So either way, it's going to be kind of a win-win for you by kind of sucking it up and getting through that tough time. 2, something you don't hear about very much, it could be what's called oxalate dumping. There are certain foods in the vegetable world and in the nuts and seeds world, particularly even things like almonds, very much so with peanuts. So if you eat a lot of almonds, you eat a lot of peanuts, you're doing a lot of nut butters and peanut butter and almond butter. If you're doing green drinks, or if you're really gravitating heavily towards things like spinach or Swiss chard, these foods carry a high amount of oxalates, and oxalates bind to minerals in your body and become literally something that's toxic in the body. So when your body has excess oxalates, your body can suffer some backlash, and that can lend to some autoimmune dysfunction. Chief among them would be things like inflammation, joint distress. Some people notice some skin irritation or some skin problems. People often notice when they start going on a carnivore diet and their body will start to dump oxalates in the body, that they're going to go through that little transition as well, where the body's expelling these toxic things, and it's going to show up by maybe, you know, you're going to have some issues with skin at first, but then it'll clear up. You may have some issues with your teeth. You may have some teeth pain or some gum pain. You may be experiencing some watery eyes, runny nose, things like this. Well, this can be oxalates dumping and ridding themselves out of your body and seeping out of your body in various ways. And it can kind of make you feel like crap when your body does dump oxalates. And we're going to talk more about oxalate dumping and oxalates in food in later videos as we continue on through this challenge. It's some pretty compelling information, and there's tons of stuff on YouTube about oxalates in food and how excess amounts can be harmful to people. And like anything else, some people are more sensitive to oxalate than others. So if you have a predisposition to being sensitive to oxalate, then getting rid of the vegetable matter and getting rid of those nuts and seeds during your carnivore diet, which is a true elimination diet. You may have discovered that by pulling these certain things from your diet is actually really going to help improve some of that autoimmune distress that you just, for the life of you, couldn't figure out where it was coming from. So that's a wonderful benefit of a carnivore diet. So it could be that you're just not fat adapted yet, and you got to kind of suffer through that, you know, little bit of period of time of getting adapted, or it could be that your body is going through a period of oxalate dumping and getting these anti-nutrients out of your system, and that can cause for kind of a tough time as you're going through it. And the cool thing is if you're noticing that, if maybe you are sensitive to oxalates, then you know that even if you do reintroduce some foods back into your diet, if you do kind of wean off carnivore a little bit, you may find that, hey, nuts and nut butters just don't react well to you. You may find that instead of doing lots of spinach and Swiss chard and things that contain a lot of oxalates, maybe you need to dial it back and choose vegetable matter that are lower in oxalates. Cauliflower is one that really doesn't have that much. Certain salad greens don't have that much oxalate in it, so might be a better call for you as you wean foods back into your diet. So cool. So my 2 weeks in has told me a few things. It's told me that kicking it in from a 85%, let's say, carnivore diet to a nearly 100%, the way I see it, has caused a little bit more dramatic effects than I really thought it would. I'll admit, that extra step does show some noticeable return, and I do like the way I feel. I haven't noticed any drop off in my training. I'm still able to train hard. I like that consistent energy thing that I mentioned before. Hasn't affected any sleep. In fact, I haven't had any detrimental effects whatsoever from this. And the more I research it, and the more I speak with other peers and other people out there who have done this, the more that evidence of it being a benefit is greatly outweighing any of the BS you hear from the crazy vegans out there that are telling you that it's going to kill you. So I'm pretty pumped about it. So I could definitely see myself continuing this on after the 30 days. Maybe if we're going from 85% carnivore, maybe to more of a 95% and just doing a little here and there. Now that I'm more aware of oxalates in my diet, I'd probably dial back some of the nuts and seeds a little bit. I'll probably dial back certain vegetable matter a little bit and make more informed choices about what foods that I do consume in that realm, if I ever consume them. But all in all, it's been a fantastic experiment. And I mean, not to keep beating a dead horse, but especially if you're having some continued autoimmune distress, and even the ketogenic diet hasn't been able to stave those off or reduce the severity of those, then I think maybe carnivore might be the way to go for those people. And there's a lot of people out there. I mean, you just do a little search on the carnivore diet here on YouTube, and you're going to see tons and tons of people who've made the switch and have done ridiculously well with it in terms of reducing that autoimmune dysfunction that so many suffer from in this world. So once again, it's some really cool, compelling stuff out there. So I'm really happy that I did this and I'm doing this challenge with you guys. So again, my big takeaway from this video would be, if you're having some difficulty with it, generally from my experience and from what I have learned talking to others out there and doing my due diligence with the research, more than likely, if you're having some issues, it's probably because you're not truly fat adapted. Might be because you're not getting enough sodium and electrolytes and fluid in your body, or it could be you're experiencing some oxalate dumping from having too much in the blood from previous years of excess eating certain foods that are very high in oxalates. So I think it more than likely, unless you're just some outlier, it's going to be one of those things that's making this not such a pleasurable experience. But I would like to hear from you people in the Facebook group or here in the comments section, maybe if there's a turning point through the 30 days. Some that I've talked to started early, like I did. I started a week early. That's why I'm technically 3 weeks in, but I'm giving you what I'm calling what I really felt at 2 weeks. And then I'm probably going to, wait another week and keep giving you, my take on it as we go and see where this takes us. But I'm interested to see if some people are having some issues with it and then maybe turn a corner within that 30-day period. That would be really interesting to hear from you people and say, hey, yeah, it was kind of sucking, for the first couple of weeks. And then all of a sudden on week 2 or on week 3, everything started to turn a corner and feel a little bit better. I'd love to hear those stories as well, because the more information we can gather here, because what is a YouTube channel? What is a Facebook group? But a way for us to share information and experiences with other people and help you do better. I mean, this is a health and fitness related, channel. And our Facebook group is devoted to building extreme physiques, muscular and lean and high performing. We're building Ferraris. And so as much information that we can share with each other to help keep that train rolling down the tracks in tip-top condition, the more we will all benefit and grow from that. So please keep commenting. Please keep sharing your experiences. Keep asking those questions. If you like these videos, click the little thumbs up guy, share it with a friend or 200, and please hit the subscribe button, because it really, really helps further our mission of spreading this low carb ketogenic style eating and mixing that in the hard training and athletic world to produce the most extreme physiques that we possibly can. And that's what we do, right? Cool. So anyway, I appreciate your support. I hope this was helpful. And I'm going to be giving my next update here in just a few days. I will be getting out of town and spending a weekend at the beach. Me and my wife have a condo for the weekend, and I'll be checking in there and giving you my next update from the beach, and maybe we can have a little bit of fun with that. A little bit different backdrop and a little bit different, little different change in geography might shake things up a little bit. We'll see what we can come up with. So until then, thank you again for your support, and lift weight, eat steak. Thanks again.